where does it go now? Grace in Haringey. Hello, Grace. Good morning to you. Where does it need to go now?
Good morning. Well, I feel it's Armageddon. It is absolute madness. Iran has 90 million people. Trump is a madman. And he has destabilised the world. And for ordinary people all over the world, look, I remember 7/7. I was lucky I wasn't on that tube.
You say that these destabilise the world. How stable would a world be if Iran had nuclear capability?
We would have a chance.
Sorry, I don't understand. We would have a chance. A chance of what?
A chance of negotiation.
Come on, Grace. No. The Ayatollah is a man who's presided over the killing of tens of thousands of people and the imprisonment of even more. How do you negotiate with that?
Can I just say, if you go back to the invasion of Iraq, the weapons inspectors had not finished their work.
Sorry, let's talk about now, shall we?
Right, well, he was in negotiations.
And you believe him?
It's not about whether I believe him. I mean, I don't know. I wasn't there. But in a world where you have law, you have diplomacy, you have
Where's
to
the
honour...
law and diplomacy in Iran for people who get arrested and killed on the streets?
There are 90 million people in Iran.
No, what about... Well, the government admit to killing 5,000. The estimate is more like 40,000. Where's the law and diplomacy for them?
Democracy comes from the root.
Well, you keep saying this. Grace, you keep ignoring the
democracy.
It doesn't Grace,
work.
You keep ignoring the fact that this unelected government was murdering its own people. Now, am I pretending that this solution is perfect? No, far from it. But you seem to say, oh, well, as long as he says the talks go on, he can continue to murder his people.
No, what I say is that if you the history of Iran, who put the Shah in power?
1953 was when the United Kingdom got involved and voted out the Prime Minister. That's why it is reported a lot of Iranians, not all, a lot of Iranians have very negative feelings towards the United Kingdom. Yes, you're right.
So they interfered. If they had not done that...
Okay, I see. I don't know why we're going back to 1953. I don't know why we're going back to Iraq. Obviously, you must learn from history. But you either have concerns that, A, this regime is killing its own people, and B, is getting close to nuclear capability, or you just say, let Iran have its nuclear weapons, which I think would be nightmarish, and let them continue to kill their people. But I say again, this is not the perfect solution. But sadly, something had to be done. Lloyd in Lewisham. Lloyd, you're on the radio. Your view on events over the last 48 hours. Good morning.
I think that the only madman in this is Donald Trump. This has been done for domestic reasons. We were told very recently, or not too long ago, that Iran was bombed out of the nuclear missile industry for a generation. Mm-hmm. Now we're bombing them because they're close to building one. That is absolute rubbish. Well, it's true. You can't believe a word he's saying. He's unstable.
And you can believe the Ayatollah, the late Ayatollah?
No. What do you mean believe the late Ayatollah?
Well, you said the mad person in all of this is Donald Trump. I don't think he's mad. He makes some questionable decisions, but it would be wrong, as with anyone, to say everything they do is right or everything they do is wrong. But I do think it's worth looking a little bit at the Ayatollah and his conduct. Was he not mad as well?
Of course. I'm not saying he's not. So do we need another madman in the arena?
Pardon?
Do we need another madman in the ring then? Is that what we're saying?
Well, I say again, do I support everything Donald Trump does? No, of course not. Is it right to say he's mad? No, that's too crude and too basic. He's not mad.
Why is it crude and basic if he's told us that he's bombed them out of the nuclear business?
Guess what? They can rebuild. Whoa,
he said he's bombed them out for a generation.
So maybe they rebuilt quicker than they thought. What do you
come on.
Well, so let them have their nuclear weapon, Lloyd, and then you're going to feel real safe in Lewisham, aren't you?
I'm not saying that. Let's have someone who knows what they're doing. How am I doing that?
Who? Sorry, have who?
Look, if we are told that he's bombed them out...
I know, this is the third time. Guess what? You can rebuild... Stop saying that. They said about Germany in the Second World War and they managed to rebuild.
Well, then we need somebody in office who knows what they're talking about and who can tell the truth.
All right, OK. We're going round in circles. Have a safe day down in Lewisham, Lloyd. Thank you. There'll be plenty more reaction to come.
Val is in Hove to kick things off. Val, what would you like to say?
Hi, James.
Hello.
So can I just give a little disclaimer?
Of course.
I think I'm not Iranian, and I think I feel really bad for taking up the phone lines when I think it's exclusively people from Iran or of that extraction should be calling you. However...
Not yet. I mean, hang on a minute. You're going to critique the show, then I need to justify myself. This is a question about a British population's opinion on the British Prime Minister. We'll have a phone-in later in the show about the Iranian response, which will be conflicting and contradictory and complex. But this is a phone-in about what British people or British residents think about the actions of the British Prime Minister. So don't feel bad about taking up a phone line.
Absolutely. Thank you for that.
Okay.
What I want to say is that from the point of view of somebody who has lived in the Middle East for more than 15 years in the UAE, in Dubai, and around Dubai, in other places, the situation is too complex to call. And Keir Starmer's response is it's too early to say whether it's appropriate or not, because the situation in the Middle East is extremely complicated.
Well, that will be true when it's over. I mean, however it ends, it's too early to say whether we were right to go into Iraq alongside George W. Bush. But but that's the question that I'm asking, is that whether or not, with the facts as we currently know them, Keir Starmer appears to have made the right call.
It's too early to say.
Why, respectfully, why have you wronged me?
Because I think it's important to point out the complexity and the nuance of the situation.
Yeah, well, I just did that for 20 minutes.
I know, and I wanted to support you in your, in your analysis.
Well, I mean, the nature of Western democracy is such that there will be opinion polls being conducted as we speak. There will be speeches in the House of Commons. There will be pages of editorials. There will be broadcasters, including this one, offering up their two penneth, and all heading towards a question, which is whether or not we or they have done the right thing or the wrong thing. And I have to, not just for professional reasons, but for very personal reasons as well. I have to disagree with you completely that it's too early to have a conversation about what is happening in Iran, and indeed about what Keir Starmer has elected to do about it. Maybe we'll talk in, I don't know, another few more generations have passed since the next victory that Benjamin Netanyahu will no doubt be describing later today. Amin is in Kingston. Amin, what would you like to say?
Hi, good morning, James. Thank you for taking my call. I always, like to talk to you over the phone.
Good.
Firstly, if I had the time, I wanted to say something. Killing 89-year-old, old man who was already, sick, and for the last couple of months, he was going to hospital and come back. And one of his beliefs was if he killing in a war, he's going straight in heaven. I don't know. I don't think it's very good achievement for United States or Israel.
Are you Iranian yourself?
Yes, I am.
So
yes,
I think there's two things that many of us won't be as aware of as you are. The first is that the faith of, if you like, of the Ayatollah is a huge part of the propaganda machine in Iran, and he has made that point repeatedly. He craved martyrdom, and you could argue that he has been handed it by Donald Trump and Benjamin Netanyahu.
Exactly. It could be his, last wish that in Ramadan he was fasting, and then during the war, straight in heaven. And his followers, they believe this. It don't think it's a very good achievement, and it doesn't show anything. We have to, and also everyone knows that, the reason who the Israel and United States start this war is nonsense, because, we're talking about the country that United States admire their missiles. They're copying Iranian, drones, the Shahed one, in United States. And then they claiming Iran wanted to have a nuclear weapon and they couldn't have it. It's a kind of nonsense, and it's a claim that more than 20, 30 years...
They also claimed that they'd eradicated the capability last June. But let me nudge you, if I may, towards what Keir Starmer has done, because your comments about the killing of the Ayatollah, and of course, as we'll discover shortly, the killing of pretty much everybody else that the United States administration had identified as possible favoured successors. I talk about a mess. Yeah. Keir Starmer is left with a decision now, as attacks are launched from Iran upon UK allies, and in the case of the RAF base in Cyprus, upon UK installations, and he is simply left with this question: do we support attacks upon the people attacking, quotes, us, end quotes, or do we continue to stay out of it? And he has elected to support the people attacking us. Is that the right thing to do, with all of your other misgivings about the bigger picture notwithstanding?
If Keir Starmer and UK believes that the United States and Israel are allies and are friends, okay, why once our friends do something for us? Why this time?
But you're jumping ahead again. Starmer is only able to deal in the moment that we find ourselves in. The US and Israel have attacked Iran illegally and without justification, but with a result that many of your fellow Iranians will welcome, the toppling of the Ayatollah, by no means all of them. And Keir Starmer is watching a drone make its way towards Akrotiri in Cyprus, a UK RAF base, missiles flying from Iran towards many of our allies in the region, our well-established allies, and he has been asked to help with the response to those attacks, and he said, yes, I will. Do you approve or disapprove of that moment, that single decision?
I believe that any escalation, these wars, just cost more human life, more ordinary life in Iran and in the region. And if UK wants to help any people in Iran or in the region, just should ask for de-escalation, not, improving the war.
I said I was going to be reluctant to argue with any Iranians today, and I am, because I don't have family on the ground, I don't have skin in the game, but I think you'll allow me to say that you sound a little naive if you think that Keir Starmer can sit idly by while attacks are made already upon UK bases and somehow prevail upon people like Benjamin Netanyahu and Donald Trump to de-escalate on what? On humanitarian grounds? On moral grounds? Have you ever encountered these men before? That ain't ever going to happen. So I'll join you in the ideal world that you describe, while politely perhaps reminding you that that's not the world that we inhabit. 10:33 is the time. The number you need, 0345 6060973. The central question, and obviously, as the first two callers have inevitably demonstrated, you are going to want to go off-piste, and I am not minded really to stop you, but I do want a few more answers to the question regarding what Keir Starmer has done, and my increasing conviction that he has actually got it just about right, but in hideous circumstances that will, quotes, please, end quotes, nobody, because there's nothing here to be pleased about.
Mike and Crawley. Iran. Can I suggest it might be defined by dead bodies? Iran is prepared to accept civilian casualties. Indeed, they've already killed more of their own people than any American airstrike yet. How many American bodies will Trump be prepared or allowed by his MAGA base before they turn on him? Like Putin against the Ukraine, Iran is in it for the long haul, and know from previous encounters Western democracies seek the quickest possible exit. As Machiavelli said, wars begin when you will, but never end when you please. Mark in Crawley says we can't say if this will turn into another Iraq, which will be in the back of Sir Keir Starmer's mind. It's a huge gamble. He may need to respond even though it's not ideal. Charles says international law, honestly, sometimes not all the time, doing the right thing outweighs a lawyer and a judge in a courtroom who sit on their backsides. I'm tired of these nonsense laws we have. Perhaps it's time to revisit these laws. Lastly, David says of the Richard Dearlove, the interview which we started the show, former head of MI6, the UK and the West, particularly the Western media, are morally broken. If Israel had the right to defend itself, Israel has that right 1,000 times more. Don't cloud the water. Som is in Orpington. Hello, Som. You're on the radio. What can you tell me? Good morning.
Well, good morning, Nick. I've spoken before. I just want to say I'm absolutely fuming about what's happening in Iran.
Right.
Again, I don't think... Well, I know Israel and US don't have any right to attack Iran. They've broken many international laws. Here we go again. They're doing it once more, and nobody's saying anything. I think I do not agree with the Iranian regime. I have said this to you previously. I think they should go, but not like this.
How would they go then? Som, how would they go?
Look, if 92 million people live in that country, 92 million people, if you just take that in for a minute, if at least 55% of them really wanted the regime to go, the regime would have gone by now.
But Som, my understanding is it's not a country I know well, but we've seen that any opposition, they just murder them, Som.
Yes, they do, yeah, because they are so powerful. I get it, but again, the majority, my belief is the majority of them do, they're either getting on with their lives as they are, or
but
they're not that bothered.
Som, they're being murdered or put in jail.
Yes, they are being murdered, but they're not. The people who are getting on with their lives and not going out there protesting aren't getting murdered. They are living in that country.
But Som, how relaxed are you that Iran is building nuclear capability?
Deep down, I think Iran should have a nuclear bomb. Every other country has. A lot of countries have it. Iran signed the NPT. There are 4 countries that never signed it, including Israel. How many nuclear bombs has Israel got? Why is nobody questioning this?
Well, hold on. I'll tell you who might want to question your conversation. Don't go, Som. Michael in Sittingbourne. What would you say to Som and his suggestions? Morning, Michael.
Good morning, Nick. I think you need to sit down and take some reality pills.
Tell him why. What do you mean by that?
He really is quite happy about a bunch of terrorists having a nuclear weapon. Oh, come on.
So,
Som?
Israel is not. You don't count Israel a terrorist state?
No, Israel is not a terrorist state.
It's not. Oh, wow. You're something else. I need a reality check. Is that what you really think? I need a reality check. Have you seen what Israel has done to Palestine? Israel is still bombing Palestine after all the hostages coming back.
Som, the only democracy in the area is Israel. I'm not seeking to justify all its actions. I am not seeking. But if you had the kind of democracy in Iran that you have in Iran that you have in Israel, you wouldn't see thousands of people being killed or jailed, would you, Som?
Iran had democracy, Nick.
Right.
Iran had democracy.
I'm talking about where we are
now. I know
now.
we were talking about where we are now.
I think it's 40 plus years.
Yes, but this is, again, all because of foreign intervention.
Let's talk about where we are now, Som.
We are talking about where we are now, Nick.
Go on.
I'm just making a point, that's all. Again, foreign intervention back in 1947, 57, whenever it was, overthrew the democracy. But now they're trying to go and save Iran.
All right. Okay. Som, thank you. It's an interesting view. Let's see if others agree. Michael, expand on your view. What do you hope would happen next? What should the level of British support be, Michael?
Well, I think Starmer's a complete wet wipe, to be honest. I mean, he doesn't know whether he's coming or going. And the thing is, I think we should have actually been far more supportive of America. I really do. I mean, they're our nearest ally. I mean, all this about special relationship is nonsense. We have a close relationship with America. It hasn't been special since 1945. So I do think the media should keep going on about this because it doesn't exist anymore. We have a very close relationship with America and we need them. We need them far, far more than they need us. And the thing is, all these people reading in saying, oh, terrible, terrible. The Iranian regime is a bunch of terrorist thugs. I mean, they're hardly better than the Nazis. Honestly.
Does that permit the US and Israel to kill the leader of a foreign country in the fashion that they did on Saturday?
I think it's wonderful, to be honest. Absolutely wonderful.
Even though it is reported there's been drone strikes on the RAF base in Cyprus now. There
has been, but the thing is, I think that would have happened anyway. I was just waiting for it to happen, to be honest. I mean, I'm actually going to Cyprus shortly.
Are you?
And
when are you going?
Hopefully. About 3 weeks, I hope.
Okay. Well, stay tuned. We've got Simon Calder, the doyen of travel journalists. He's joining us later in the show to talk about what the impact could be. You're not the only one who's concerned about their travel plans. Michael, look after yourself. Thank you for your view. Peter in Stirling. Peter, where do you think this goes next? Where do you want it to go next? Good morning.
Morning, Nick. I think we should stay out of it. I think it's criminally reckless. We can all agree that the Ayatollah Khamenei being dead is a good thing. But at the same time, a lot of these people commenting, it's like Iraq and Afghanistan didn't happen. And this country is 4 times the land area and twice the population, 67 languages, Nick. Mm-hmm. The country is not going to hold itself together. We're going to have either the IRGC are now going to start cracking down to keep order, and it's going to be even more bloody, or the country's going to fall into it like, it's going to shatter, and we're going to have war without end, and it's going to be the next Somalia or Syria on a whole different scale. And I'm sorry, that's going to prompt a huge humanitarian wave of refugees towards Europe.
And as regards nuclear capability, if it is right that Iran was restoring its position there, the West allows that to continue?
Well, I think that striking the nuclear facilities is something that we've done that has been done before by the West, and this was far more than that, Nick.
Okay.
Sam is in Bromsgrove in Worcestershire. Sam, what would you like to say?
Hiya, how are you?
Very well. What's on your mind?
Yeah, I mean, I've got family and friends in every single country except Kuwait that has been impacted by this.
Really?
And yes, every
you get
single
around.
one. My brother's in Qatar. Well, yeah, my brother's in Qatar. I've got cousins in Bahrain. I've got my in-laws are in Lebanon. My brother-in-law lives in the Fairmont Hotel, Fairmont Apartments in Dubai.
Oh Lord, is he all right?
He's all right. He's all right.
That's the one that got hit. That's the one that got hit, for people wondering why you've mentioned it.
Yes, that's the one that's got hit. I go there every Christmas, actually. We stay with them. And so I've got friends and family hugely invested. I lived in Dubai for 8 years. I don't agree with you that the British people didn't send their money back home, because we did, and all of my friends did, and
I mean, crikey, I'm just pointing out a lot of people who've moved there are literally quite explicit about the fact that they've done so
20 years ago.
They've done so to avoid paying tax back in the UK. That doesn't mean that I was maligning you or your family, but that's what most of the recent departures from this country, they've done it for two reasons. They lie about London not being safe, and they don't want to pay tax because they don't think that they benefit from taxes until, of course, someone starts firing missiles at them.
Yeah, no, I was always wanting to come back.
Sure.
And so very well, very, very, very much invested. And I can tell you, people like me who are in the UK, who do have family and friends, say actually Britain needs to stay out of this.
Right.
And I would my journey started in the Middle East after university. I moved to Jordan, and I worked in the Hyatt Hotel, which was bombed by a terrorist attack after the Iraq War.
Yes.
And no sooner did one bomb land in Iraq did all the hotels become full of oil companies. So we all knew. We all knew what that was about. And here we are again. This is Israel's war, and it's not Britain's war. It's Israel's war. And on the 17th of February, Naftali Bennett, I think that's his name. He started talking about bombing Turkey. So
I'm not across that. Forgive me. I'm not across that. But it was Israel's war in conjunction with Donald Trump, who probably wouldn't be doing this if the Epstein files weren't continuing to cause such to garner such coverage at home and abroad. But it ceases to be Israel's war or Israel and America's war when Iran responds by attacking the positions that you've already described. But then we have we have a duty surely to minimise those responses. No.
So obviously, we don't want any civilians to be hit, whether in Dubai or in Iran. I mean, thank you for mentioning that school. I mean, it broke my heart. Of course. To see children. I mean, what have they done in this world to deserve that? What have they done? So obviously, because I'm watching some Arabic media, our understanding, some of the media is saying that the American bases are being used, and people probably didn't know this, that Jordan has American bases, that Dubai has American bases, Abu Dhabi, know, it's a very, if you think about it, it's very, very strange that all these countries are allowing America to kind of control some kind of the military in their country. It is an odd situation to have that every one of those countries has American bases. So American bases are being targeted because the American bases are being used to target Iran. So what are they? And obviously they're an easier target because Israel's got a very strong defense system. The Iron Dome is a very strong defense system. So of course, if you're going to be sending missiles from a target in Dubai, then you're going to have it back.
You're making a distinction between an American base and an ally of the UK. And if the American base is on the soil of our ally, then it's an attack upon our ally. Even though it is simultaneously an attack upon America or an American base, when Starmer has successfully disassociated himself from America and Israel's probably illegal attack upon Iran. I don't think you have that luxury of saying he's not attacking our ally, he's attacking an American base, when the American base, and God forbid there be any collateral damage, is on ally territory. And that's without even bringing the RAF base in Cyprus into the conversation, which has already, we believe, been targeted.
Yes, I mean, that obviously needs a response.
And that's what he's done. That's what he's done.
That is definitely a British problem. But I just feel that why are they letting them use their country? Why are they letting them use it? Israel's very close.
Well,
Israel's there.
Because they want
so
to.
They don't, why are they letting them?
Because they want to. They're sovereign.
People.
They're sovereign territories, and they provide. They would claim, if you had the luxury of chatting to the King of Jordan about it, or other Middle Eastern leaders. I really like the King of Jordan.
I don't think they're using the base. What's happened in Jordan is very different, because in Jordan you have the missiles going to Israel and they're shooting them down before they get to Israel.
Yeah, of course.
So there is some.
Well, there've been deaths and casualties in Israel as well. So no system is completely foolproof. But Israel's is probably the best in the world.
No, but there are people in Jordan saying, why are you shooting them down and putting our life at risk as Jordanians? Aren't we number one to you?
As the things fall out of the sky.
So there's obviously a problem there as well, because of the debris that's coming out of the sky in Jordan.
But doing nothing is not an option. Doing nothing is not. I think, to answer, I don't know whether you were being rhetorical a moment ago, but a large reason, presumably, for US military presence in the Middle East is they would say to sustain stability. God, I'm so late for the news. How dare you make me so late for the news, Sam? I can't believe it. You've got me so engaged in this conversation. But also to protect the oil industry. We'll talk again, because given that extraordinary backstory that you shared, I want to know how you ended up in Bromsgrove, just up the road from where I grew up. Boris, what do you reckon?
Hi, James. Thanks very much for taking my call.
You're very welcome.
Okay, did he get it right? I don't think he did.
Okay.
And let me give you two very worrying scenarios and one positive scenario of why I think we should really think over whether we're going to get sucked into this or not. Issue number one is, with the assassination of the Ayatollah Khamenei, we've not just killed the head of Iran, but we've also killed the person that is the head of the religion for 250 million, some of them quite fanatic Shiites, living all over the world, including 400,000 in Germany, for example. I don't know how many in the UK. And we have to understand that the Khomeini isn't just the head of the religion. It's like the Pope equivalent.
Yes.
But even more than that, he is, as I understand it, the keeper of the hidden Iman, which almost makes him into a Jesus Christ-like figure. And when I look at those figures of people mourning now for the next couple of 40 days, apparently, in Iran, I just hope that I've got sufficient distance with my family, with anybody who's got fanatical ideas about what to do as a result of that.
So it could have, rather than removing the threat of terrorism, it could well have provoked and prompted more. But I mean, and again, this is simultaneously a really important distinction, Boris, but also an exercise in splitting hairs. Starmer was not party to that assassination.
I agree with that. I agree he was not party of starting the war, and he kept the distance. But before he starts throwing us, everybody in the Western world, in Europe and the UK, again into this risk, he should be taking that into consideration. So you're right, he didn't start.
Well, he has taken it into consideration. The drone attacks reaching our bases in Cyprus, our allies coming under attack from Iran. Just explain to me how he could do nothing.
Okay. Can I make my second point?
Yeah, of course you can. Sorry.
Then we can talk about those drones. Second thing is, of course, with taking out Iran, every single country, whether it's a democracy or whether it is a dictatorship, will now be looking at their own defense and will be thinking, do I need a nuclear weapon myself? And this will happen, not just in dictatorial regimes like Iran, but this will happen in places like Germany, Japan, Korea. So with with Trump's foreign policy, this is just an escalation of nuclear proliferation everywhere. That's going to be the biggest disaster and the biggest legacy that Trump is going to leave behind. Now, my last and my positive point is the great thing about what Trump has done here is by taking out the head of a state and the rest of the cabinet and officially targeting them. So starting a war and saying, I'm going to kill the people that run this country. Yeah. He has now shifted international law, and we the people, we should hold on to this. From now on, anybody who is involved in a war or who starts a war should become a legitimate target. And if Keir Starmer goes down and gets sucked into this, he too should be a target. Trump should be a target. Putin should be a target. Maybe when we get the people who are in charge of starting the wars responsible with their lives for starting the wars, maybe they're not going to be so trigger happy before. So those were my 3 points. That last point we should be holding on, because people will try to waffle about it again and say, oh no, there was, it was Iran, it was a special case. No. If this is now international law, they have no more immunity. And that's fine with me. That's the way it should be. Why should they sit in their big, beautiful palaces, safety, when we take a 19-year-old kid, conscript him, put him in a tank, and then give him into the Ukraine or Russian war?
I said to an earlier caller, I wish that we lived in the world that you describe, and I'm going to say the same thing to you, but we don't. So you can't really use that as a camouflage for the difficult question that Keir Starmer has had to answer. You can't answer a question about the horns of the dilemma that he faced by saying, well, the horns should never have existed, or that people who... listen, I don't think international law, in the context of illegal wars, I don't think it's ever been weaker. Vladimir Putin must be laughing all the way to wherever it is that he goes for downtime at the moment, because what America is doing is comparable, of course, to what Russia has done, albeit that Iran was a much more deserving target of aggression than Ukraine ever was.
James, I don't want to be now. But back to your question in terms of what other choices do we have, right?
Yeah. In this moment, of course, in the last 24 hours, the shift from the attack that he didn't support to the decision to support responses to the attack that Iran has launched.
And that is based on what? On 2 drones suddenly appearing?
No, it's not. It's based upon missiles landing in Jordan. It's based upon attacks upon other allies. Okay. It's based upon US Air Force bases that are on the soil that belongs to our allies. So it's based upon the international network of obligations and treaties.
I understand that. And how is that different from Israel constantly bombing Beirut just because some people who are allies of the Iranis start launching attacks on Israel from the land of Lebanon? How does that differ?
How does what differ?
So you have a situation where Iran is saying, I'm going to attack these allies of you because you're using them to attack me.
I understand your point, but you're doing it again. You're doing it again, because 2 wrongs don't make a right. I find that an awful lot of the things that Israel does are almost certainly in breach of international law, up to and including genocide in Gaza. But that doesn't take away from the fact that Iran is doing what Iran is doing, and Keir Starmer's job is to respond.
I agree, but I still maintain, given the risks and threats we have, given that this is clearly started out of the blue by Israel and the United States,
yes,
the thing to do right now for us in the Western world and Western Europe, including the UK, get the beer on ice, get the popcorn on, listen to LBC in terms of what happens, and relax.
And when British troops die?
And you will have to pay a little bit more on the pump.
And when British military personnel die?
When? Because 2 drones...
No, but do we change then?
Well, if we have real facts about Cyprus being attacked, not by drones, why would Iran fly these drones? Look at the map where Cyprus is. It's
right.
miles.
If we move into the realms of disputing the veracity, the veracity of reports that we're receiving, and there's 3 now. Then there's no point continuing the conversation. But 3 Americans have already died. If some of the missiles that have been launched at installations in the Middle East had achieved their goal, it's not beyond reasonable doubt that British military personnel would also have been vulnerable to attack. And I presume your position, what we might describe, Boris, as the popcorn position, I presume that would change the moment British blood was spilt by Iranian retaliation to an attack that had nothing to do with Britain.
If it is targeted, yes. If a bomb lands somewhere in the Gulf states,
but then if it's collateral, then the same principle stands, because you could have taken out the means by which that missile has been launched, and you have urged Keir Starmer not to do so.
You are convincing, and maybe you should have gotten that PhD instead of mine from the LBC.
Yeah, I'll tell you what, maybe both of us could have done a better job than Steve Witkoff and Jared Kushner, but it's not for us to say. Boris, thank you. I always enjoy talking to you.